In spring this year, I was participating in a program sponsored by our Ministry of Higher Education and Science. It was a very nice and very innovative program, and I had a chance to attend your classes on design thinking, which has inspired me. And on the way back, I thought how I can meet you again. And now you are in Poland. We met in Krakow, you are now in Warsaw, and I have some other questions which I would like to raise before you go to United States.
Of course.
The first question is about how you can link your work at the university as a professor, professional professor, with your life and your professional career, because I know on many times you mention that you're working for other companies, you have a consulting job, and you also run your own business. How is that possible to be a professor and to speak openly that you also have a business career?
Of course, you and I live in different cultures, and there are differences among those. Your question would rarely be asked of me in the United States. I don't mean to say that it's not an issue, but there's a structure in which I work that is enabled by, there's a structure in which I work that enables this. And it's not something that is a secret. It's not something that I hide from anybody. It's a definition of employment that I use with the university, and I use with my consulting partners, and I use in my own private consulting and artwork. The key is at the University of California Haas School of Business, where I teach, I am in a category called professional faculty. What that means is I am a professional from outside of academia that is hired in the university, titled, credentialed, and certainly compensated for my work, but I am not what we call a ladder faculty or a career professional professor. I am a professor, but I'm a professor in the professional faculty category. What that means is I am a working consulting professional and a working professor. And so this category allows people like me to work in both areas without any contradiction or other limitations on it. And the University of California at Berkeley, the Haas School of Business, has a wonderful opportunity through this categorization to bring people's experience from the world of work into the academy. And it also works the other way. Our consulting work, and my own work in the world and in the community, is enhanced by the wonderful gifts of knowledge that are brought to me by students and colleagues inside the university and deployed outside. There's no limitation. Now, Stanford University, where you also have visited, is even more defined around this duality. Stanford routinely takes ideas generated inside the university and goes and makes businesses out of them. And the notion of the offices of technology transfer also facilitate this, where many people who do research, I'm not a researcher, I'm a teacher. People who do research often will come up with patents, inventions, or other ideas that they license to the university and then go out and build companies with. I recognize that this isn't the common practice in your university or in Poland and in many European countries. The rich tradition of the isolated academy is maintained well, and it has some distinct advantages. I believe in 2013, in the 21st century, it also has some distinct disadvantages because knowledge and insight is not limited to the university, nor is it limited to the world of work. I thoroughly enjoy the rich interplay of the two. I'm a better teacher because I do consulting, and I'm a better consultant because I teach. So I find the combination, which is sanctioned, known, and common in my situation in my university, one that fulfills, and it's a win-win. I am a better consultant and I'm a better teacher because of the opportunity to learn broadly from everyone.
That's great. I do have another question concerning culture, or maybe the changes between our countries and between our systems. I thought after today's workshop we should speak a little bit more about the failure process or the failure issue. I know both sides of the idea that some countries treat failure as a success, and others, failure is something really, really bad, which can ruin your career. What do you think from your perspective and from your experience?
Failure is never a success. Failure is failure. But let's talk about what that means.
Yes.
There's a common myth about the Silicon Valley, for example, where people talk about, at our conference in Krakow, people talked about how wonderful it is to fail in Silicon Valley, and you wear this as a badge of courage that you. And I really think that's silly. I don't know about you, but I've failed on 4 continents in various ways. And failure is never joyful.
No, it's not. Definitely.
No matter what the cultural association with it is, we are wounded by the failures of our lives, whether it's business or personal.
Yes.
And so I reject the idea that all failure is a success. Instead, the challenge is to acknowledge that yes, life is filled with success and with failure. It's not so much do we learn from failure, it's what we learn from failure. I've been fired from jobs, I've had companies that went belly up, I've had setbacks in careers. And if you take the lesson from that you should never risk anything, then you will never risk anything. If you take from those lessons that ways of understanding yourself and your world better and then do things differently as a result of that, improve, then the learning that you get from failure is a positive. But failure from which we learn nothing or we learn the wrong things is not a success, and it's not a positive thing. It's a wounding thing. So the great mythology around the joy of failing, I think, is 2 things. Not true, and sensationalized as a California Silicon Valley phenomenon, and I reject both of those.
I do have another question for you. Education.
Yes.
Education for a lot of people, it's a very important part of their life. It's an investment. What do you think? What sort of kind of issue we should consider thinking about education and progressing education? What are the values of education? This
Well, that's a very important question that's coming into focus these days, because the value of higher education is actually being called into question in the United States, for example, where there are one particular wealthy man is paying people to not go to college, suggesting that the practical application of going to work is more valuable. I think that's silly, because we can learn through experience, through education, and through our life experience. But there is a problem in a very traditional academic setting in which we value intelligence at all cost over every other kind of intelligence that we have. Emotional intelligence, physical intelligence, the people skills, what we call the soft skills of how to talk to someone, how to listen to someone, how to work with someone, and how to be empathetic, and frankly, how to be kind and have decent manners among other people. And if our only criteria is I have a big IQ and I score very well on all of my academic tests, what sort of unroundedness does that create? Just as if you are anti-intellectual and you think that all education is silly. So my point in this is that we often overvalue raw intelligence as the criteria for success. In fact, there's more to it than that. There's the emotional intelligence, there's the people intelligence, there's the social intelligence, and the capacity to see beyond oneself and, in my opinion, to develop the passion for a life of service, not simply a life of intellectualism.
Thank you very much for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.